please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Yeah, I screwed that up, guys. I totally screwed that up. Yeah,
It's like a weekly occurrence now.
I know. It's how can producer Sam screw up the Let's Go Devils podcast? It's a happy Devils Thursday. Our new time slot.
No, well, first of all, it's not a happy Devils Thursday, and you screwed up that introduction like the Devils defensive coverage screwed up this game.
Yeah, you know what? There's a reason why my name is Sam, like Sammy Vatanen right now. That's harsh. That's harsh.
That was not a penalty. That interference call was not. That was such a loose call. It was bad.
There was a lot of loose calls tonight.
Well, this is the Let's Go
How do you
Devils
call
podcast.
interference on that?
I don't know. This is a frustrating 4-game stretch, boys. Very frustrating.
I agree.
Between having 2 games, I'm like really close to Carson. I gotta keep my from having 2 games stolen from us on some these coaches' challenges. Dude, it took 5.5 minutes in St. Louis. I'm still so upset about that. And then watching this game tonight. I mean, Andy Green, come on.
That blind pass to the slot. That was the perfect slot pass if you want to score a goal. The problem was it was from our defensive. It was from Andy Green to Dallas. It's a perfect pass to the slot. It's just it was so bad. That's as a goalie, that's one of those passes you look at and you go, what were you doing? What was you what? There's no words for it. It's so bad.
Dude, I am watching this game, and I listened to a good majority of it. I actually listened to more of it than I had watched because I was doing stuff around my house, so I had the game on in my ear the whole time. And it's just like, I don't know what was worse, watching it or listening to it. It was such a frustrating game, and that was like I don't know. I like a play like that. As a fan watching it drives you crazy. I can't imagine like being on the ice for that one. That's just, it's inexcusable.
It drove me crazy knowing that those are those defensive mistakes that you whether you play, whether you coach, or no matter what, you're always on like, don't do that. That's what you don't want to do. The fourth goal, the 2-on-1. I believe that was Vatanen. That was the defenseman. But I was too blown away by the fact that you don't take the shooters as a defenseman. The shooters, the goalie's responsibility. Make sure that pass does not get across. And what happened? That pass gets across. Those are the defensive breakdowns that shouldn't happen.
I mean, you go out of the first period, you score late in the first period, right? You're carrying all the momentum and going into the second. They were playing really solid in that first period, and then the second period is just like brain fart after brain fart after brain.
Oh, I know.
With that Andy Green play, he makes
so bad.
Pass, ties it, and if you're gonna send it to anybody, I had somebody actually ask me the other day. They're like, "How do you guys not curse?" And I said, "Well, they're winning, so that helps a lot."
Winning solves everything, right, boys?
Yeah. Although we're not winning, we're just not winning. This was just such a tough stretch. But tonight, I think the defensive mistakes, that's what really got me the most was tonight was those defensive mistakes. I've seen them happen in front of me before as a goalie, and then as a coach, those are the things you don't as a defenseman backhand out of the zone at all in any situation. It's just so bad.
Oh, I think we lost Beer Baron's audio right there. Or did we? I think we lost Beer Baron's audio. He's talking right now.
We did, yeah. I think he switched his mic off.
Yeah. Something happened. I do find it funny that
there we
Coleman
go. I turned the mic.
Hey, I saw you turn that off, and I tried to text you just tell you to turn it back on.
Sorry, I dropped a few F-bombs there.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't text you, behind the scenes, Beer Baron. I just called you out. Be like, yo, your mic is not working. I can't hear you.
That's okay.
One
of those nights. One of those nights.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, this podcast is going the way of this Devils game tonight. Just not good.
Oh, I got the perfect audio for that. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to cue it up. Hopefully I don't screw it up this time. Yeah, I got the perfect audio for the last 4 games of the New Jersey Devils. Why
do I feel like I know what it is?
Oh, yeah. Well, if I can actually play it. No, I screwed. Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, there we go. This is the New Jersey Devils, the last 4 games. It feels like a sinking ship. I feel like we need a life preserver. Maybe
quick, float on a door or whatever he was floating on.
Oh, I know. And then just when
you know what?
So cold.
Just when you think that you're coming back, you're on the door, and then you're thinking you're going to get on the door, and then she just lets you go.
And then she pushes you off.
Hey, you know what?
Right into the water.
Yeah.
Like the referees have done to us.
What's that?
Hey, fun fact: I've never seen that movie.
I've seen.
I don't know if I discussed this.
I don't think I've ever seen.
I've never, ever seen that movie because you know what? I know how it ends. The boat sinks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, for how popular. Yeah, that movie was extremely popular, even though everybody knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, I know. It's only because of who was in it.
Yeah, exactly. But going back to I don't know what's more frustrating, if this game was more frustrating to listen to / watch, or if I can't even say it. Like the Sabres game, having a goal taken away on God, these coaches' challenges. And I said this the last podcast too, like how frustrating that is. Not only because it's it slows down the game. You're injecting a couple minutes into a game that you're slowing down momentum, you're taking it away, whatever, the swing and blah blah blah. It's like that one took a couple minutes, and then this one in the last game, like I said, in St. Louis took 5.5 minutes. Like, it's so unbelievably frustrating. Like, I don't know. And no,
Yeah, these challenges should not take 5 minutes. It should be minute maybe, and then you move on. There's no need for 5 minutes, for a challenge like that. That's just that's too much. See, fortunately, I missed that Sabres game. So fortunately, that
game was
but
frustrating
it's
because they
been
had
an
a
ugly
two-
stretch.
Yeah, they had a 2-goal lead in that game, blew the 2-goal lead, and then promptly lost. Got a goal taken away from them, and then promptly lost in overtime. And then it's the same thing in St. Louis. They actually came back and started that game off horribly, and they was able to like work their way back into it. They score that goal. Like the whole series of events is so unbelievably frustrating. Marcus Johansson wasn't even on the ice when they scored the goal. Yet when the play came into the zone, he was the one that didn't control the puck and was offsides. And there's other hand motions that I could do for this, but it's frustrating.
It's really frustrating.
In between those two games, you have the Capitals game where they just get dominated up and down the ice by the Capitals. Like they have no answer for Washington. And then tonight, first period, they look solid. They look good. They're skating. They're moving. They get that power play goal. Bishop and Schneider I thought tonight's game was going to be a 2-1 type of game. That's how the first period played out. And it ends up being this. Oh my God. I'm frustrated. It's late and I'm frustrated.
Yeah. Shorts guy has to do something. So I'm trying to hide,
Fine.
I'm trying to hide the screen, but yeah, I mean, it is frustrating. The Devils are like the cardiac kids this year. You just never know if they're going to come back or not, which is great as a fan because you're never out of it. As Shorts guy gets back into his seat, we'll pan right back in. But I just think that I thought it was an okay game. It was entertaining on some level, but real frustrating. And they need to shore up that defense in a hurry. Because now, are we going to hit the panic button at some point if this continues into late January? Right now the standings may look okay, but rather get the slump out now. But
yeah, well, this is the typical time when the Devils do slump. There's always a January slump. But we traded Henrique for Vatanen, and he was supposed to be coming in as this really solid defenseman. And, definitely tonight's game, he's just not, is something not clicking? Is he not fitting in with the system? I just don't know. But, we can't blame the whole game on him because Andy Green served up that, that goal for Dallas on a silver platter. That was just awful defensive. It was defensive miscues all game long. And then on that third one, that pass gets through the crease under Corey. Miles Wood is there. Like, how is that not taken care of before it's put home? Like, it's just defensive miscues left, right, and center.
Now, is that something where you go as far as maybe reassigning who's taking the defensive responsibilities as of coaching? You know what I mean? Like, is it at a coaching level where they're not connecting? Because this has been like a theme throughout the entire season. Even when they're winning, there's games where they're, let's go back to that Chicago game, where they ended up winning 7-5 or whatever the end score was. You have so many defensive lapses in the beginning of that game, and they were lucky enough to come back and win. And then, a night like tonight where the refs are calling anybody, you sneeze on a guy when he skates by you and you're getting called for it. You got to tighten those things up.
That second Vatanen call was just that. He sneezed on the guy and they called him interference. That call was just so bogus. Like, how do you call that interference? He's not even half a foot, 6 inches out of the box. And the guy had the puck. It's not like the guy was just skating by him like leisurely. If the puck's on the bench side, and Vatanen sticks a stick out and clips him, fine. It's still weak, but I can handle that interference call. But the guy had the puck. It's like, and it was so what? Vatanen's supposed to wait in the box until after his penalty time is up to step out. It's just it was bad. It was such a bad call.
And essentially because his feet were inside the penalty box. That's what their argument was. You know, and then like I still can't, even though the rule and I'm like hung up on this. I can't get over it. But those two, the two games, they should be 2-2 on this last 4-game stretch, or even at best 3-1. That Washington game was just a wash. I still don't understand the rule. Like, I understand the rule of the offsides, and why that was taken away. Those 2 goals were taken away. It just is so, it's just so frustrating, and you bring up a great point, in like the defensive lapses and watching that 2-on-1 breakdown where you always have, you let the goalie take the shooter. It's just these simple plays. Miles Wood, standing next to the goal, like these simple plays, it's easy for us to say because we're sitting on the couch or, it's just mind-boggling.
I know, it's frustrating. Sam, you got someone, right?
Yeah, I got a Devils expert, Dave Turner from Devils Insiders. I'm going to cue him in. Dave does
there he is,
he's
one
the host
left.
Yeah, Devils Daily. And Dave, are you there?
I am.
Hey, Dave.
Dave, how's it going?
We got Short Sky and Beer Baron, but and myself. But so, what do you think of this game? Should we hit the panic button yet?
I think this is going to be an interesting game coming up now on Saturday or Sunday, I guess it is. But look, I've been saying it all year, and I think we're finally starting to see it. They're playing an entire NHL season with not a single top 4 quality defenseman, and I think you can say, okay, Green's had his day. I think it's past him. Santini's had moments where he's looked good. Damon Severson, though he's the Corsi darling, there's a reason why they're sitting him. I don't know if I would, but I think you're finally starting to see that. And Vatanen, who I know fans are really all over now, and he's going to be compared to Henrique, and I'm past all that. I was all for trading Henrique anyway. But I look at it and I say, at some point, this was going to catch up to them. That they're basic, and I know Vegas is kind of doing the same thing, and that they don't really have a top 4, and their best defenseman is a 22-year-old in Shea Theodore, who's going to be great, but he's 22. I think we're finally starting to see that this team is basically trying to stay afloat without. And I mean, put it this way: if you were going to take all the players in the league, defensemen, and you were going to draft 16 top 4s for the playoffs, is there any Devil player that's making that cut? I don't think so.
No,
yeah, I agree. I mean,
and
so,
for the longest time, the Devils have been getting by with their defensive woes with their offense, but the offense wasn't there tonight, and it hasn't been there, recently. So it's that lack of a good, solid defenseman to really shore up the back line. It's the same as last year. We were losing games in the last 5 minutes of the game. And it's just, again, it's a problem.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think we've kind of forgotten that this is a rebuilding season, and that realistically, this team probably should have been, in 7th place right now with 42 points or something like that, and they would have been probably where they should have been expected. But now it's changed because they've gotten off to such a hot start. It's funny. I was thinking about it tonight. The second line is becoming an issue too, where you had Zajac. I know he's been a little bit better, and even Zaka on the third line's been better. But unfortunately, with Johansson with the injury, and I don't think he's really fit in yet. And Palmieri, aside from the fluky goal tonight, hasn't looked the same. That's another issue too. You brought up a good point there, saying as much as the offense has bailed them out, well, right now it's really kind of Brian Boyle and the first line that's their offense right now too. So it's not like they've been clicking on all cylinders offensively. So I don't know. Maybe the break is a good thing. Maybe they can kind of get right against the Islanders, who are a dumpster fire in their back end, and maybe they can kind of feel good after that game. But maybe the break comes at the right time for them because you're starting to see some chinks in the armor.
With this Islander game coming up, it could be a double digit affair on both sides. The way that the defense is playing.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun game though. I don't know how many people are you guys trying to go out there for that game? I know some people like the idea of it being an early Sunday game, so they're trying to head out there. But look, the Islanders, they were so hot early, and it's unbelievable how bad they've been, not only defensively and missing Travis Hamonic, but they also can't. I mean, the goaltending, where they go back and forth between Bryce and Halak, and one of them looks good, and they put him in, and the next thing you know, it doesn't matter who they put in lately, they can't do anything. You would hope that when it boils down to everything, that maybe Corey Schneider is the difference in that game. But I don't know. It's weird that the Devils actually, believe it or not, tonight was the second regulation one goal loss they've had all year, which is a crazy number. I think they are 11-2-7 now in one goal games. So it was only the second one. The only other one that it was Florida, actually, at home, that 3-2 game. So they've done a good job at winning close games, and I forgot who it was who brought that up. But basically, someone said that the idea that they've been winning a lot of close games, that perhaps that's something that's going to change, and that maybe the puck luck, which clearly they haven't had much puck luck lately. I mean, I guess you can thank the refs for that one, but maybe it's just that they're starting to regress. I guess the good thing is they built up enough of a cushion here where even if they do kind of slide here into this break, it's not like they're going to be out of it. They're certainly going to be playing meaningful hockey, well into February. So I guess we'll see where it goes from there.
Now, just out of curiosity, do you see any kind of opportunity for them to possibly move anybody, or do you feel that there's an opportunity out there that they can try and go out and get a top, I don't want to say top 4 D man, but that's kind of what we need to fill into this gap. Is there any kind of opportunity in your eyes that the Devils would be able to do something like that?
Defense is hard. I think right now, it was funny. We've been talking about a lot of this on Devils Daily, and the idea being, how do you look at the Devils farm system right now? And unfortunately, other than Mike McLeod, a lot of those, and I guess Joey Anderson, a lot of those guys, their value has either plateaued or it's actually dropped. Where you have a guy in Blake Spears who looks like something, well, he hasn't been. So I don't know if the Devils have the assets to bring in a real top 4 defender. I think that's kind of the issue. Where, I mean, if you're looking at Erik Karlsson, you're looking at, on the high end, you're looking at Mike McLeod, Joey Anderson, 2 firsts, and a roster player probably. And I don't know if they want to do that because you don't know what's behind them in the farm system yet. I just think there's too much. I'm going to throw a name at you though, and it's an offensive name. And maybe it's based on the fact that he actually is going to retire because the recapture penalty would be for Detroit because he's played most of the contract there. If Travis Zajac can't get going, Henrik Zetterberg would be an interesting guy to bring in there, especially because he's Swedish and maybe he can work with Johansson, Brad, whoever. If they can't get the offense going, he could be a guy that they might bring in. He's had a good season, despite the fact that Detroit hasn't been good. I know it's weird to say, why would you bring in offense? But maybe he's a veteran that they could bring in and you could get him for a year or two, and then he retires. So that would be kind of where I go. I just don't think – what do you guys think? I don't think there's nearly enough that the Devils have right now to give up to get the defense that they want.
And I totally agree with you. I think there's certain things that they'd have to put together. You kind of nailed it on the head. If you're going to start sending out any kind of prospects, you got to start with McLeod and work your way down. And, guys like Quenneville, who showed tons of promise in junior and even, they had high hopes for him last year when they brought him back or brought him up to the big time. I think his stock is starting to fall a little bit. He's kind of plateaued. And so you're right. I agree. There's a lot of issues in the farm system that they don't have the prospects that they could use to peel away a Trouba from, Winnipeg or, Tyson Barrie out from Colorado. But those are the guys that they're, in reality would love to target. But, I'd say they try, I think Vatanen's probably the best that they could get out in the market. And I think he had a really rough game tonight, but I think that he's probably the best for what we were able to get. As for Zetterberg, I think that would be a great fit. I honestly do. I agree with you 100%. So I mean, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they do to try to fix this and go forward.
Yeah, my guess is I think they're going to stay where they are. If anything, maybe they even surprise you and they do deal someone away. If it's John Moore, who's had another decent season, if someone really wants him and the Devils don't think they're re-signing him, maybe you do make that move anyway, and you say, you know what, we should be able to survive without him if we're not going to re-sign him anyway. So maybe it is still a situation where there's a body going out, but it's hard. I think the biggest thing about this rebuild is it's kind of gotten all of us interested again, and we want to see this team do well, whereas maybe, in early October, we're thinking, all right, let's just get through this season, trade away a couple guys and move on. And I think it's changed the expectations, but realistically, the amount of wins or losses they finish with this year or how many they have at the deadline really shouldn't change what they do. I know it's hard to look at it that way because you want to win, and of course, it would be great to see this team make the playoffs. But, Ray, I think at this point needs to say, hey, the better years are still to come, regardless of if they're kind of free-falling. The last thing you want to do is bring in a guy that kind of, we need to bring in someone to try to make the playoffs, and then you don't make the playoffs. In a sense, you could almost say that maybe in some people's minds the Henrique trade was that, where they bring in a guy in Vatanen who is definitely misslotted. We'll see how he ends up the rest of the year, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that if they don't make the playoffs, are going to look at it and say, oh my God, you traded Adam Henrique, and all you got back for was a guy that didn't really live up to expectations.
Yeah, and especially he had some success right away in Anaheim too, so that definitely didn't help.
Yeah, but I'm also wondering, and Dave, we've talked about Sammy and Beer Baron. I talked this on the side. Bring in Eddie Locke. That might put Keith Kincaid out there on the as trade bait to bring someone in, because Eddie Locke being former Vancouver, working with Corey Schneider and the goaltending coach, he's a pretty capable backup. So that would put Kincaid as that possible trade bait to possibly bring someone in along with picks, because Kincaid's a really solid goaltender and could be what a team may need to possibly get him over the line. So because otherwise, why would you bring someone like Locke into the system, when we have, pretty solid goaltending already, unless they want to move someone like Kincaid?
I think that the way to look at it, though, is that unfortunately, goaltending, you never get what you think you should get for it. I agree that does make kind of sense. Where, yeah, sure, you bring in Eddie Lack, and all of a sudden you could trade Keith Kincaid. Eddie Lack's numbers with Rolly Millenton as his coach, I think he's got a .917 save percentage when he has Rolly Millenton as his goaltending coach. So yeah, clearly he's had success with him as his goalie coach, but unless you're trading, a Gibbons with it, or you're trading a Johansson, who, weird to think about it, but he is a year and a half from his contract ending, and if it's not working, maybe you throw him in. But if you're trading, and also today, I don't know if you guys saw, Montoya went to Edmonton, and that was kind of the team that might have been the best fit for him, because they were really struggling with their backup goaltending with Laurent Brossoit. I'm not sure what you're going to get for Kincaid, though. I agree that maybe it makes sense. You could trade him. But I just don't think, you're getting, a 5th-round pick for him? A 4th-round pick? Unfortunately, goaltending, you never really get what you expect. And even today, I think it was a conditional 4th-round pick for Montoya. So maybe you kind of start with that, and that's sort of the exact realm of where you might go with him.
A very interesting name. I was just kind of looking up impending UFAs for the summer. Let's say the Devils don't do anything and they don't trade away anybody. They kind of stay with what they have, and then they just ride it out and see what happens. Who knows? It's kind of Ratio Oshiro is very similar to Lou in the sense that you don't really know what's going to happen until it happens. John Carlson from Washington, who's a Jersey boy, if I'm not mistaken, is a UFA coming up this summer. I mean, there's a big name. He's probably going to be like if he ends up making it to free agency, probably going to be one of the more sought out guys on the market. But that could be a nice fit for the team. So it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do. But they got to do something. This defensive woes are absolutely killing them. This second period is almost every single game. It feels like there's something going on. So.
Isn't it crazy to look back and the way Mirko Mueller was playing? And I know it was a very small sample size, but he had started to really turn a corner right when he got hurt.
Exactly.
I can't wait to get him. I know it's going to probably take him a while, and it might not even be this season where he can really feel comfortable again. But, geez, I mean, they could really use him on the left side there. Carlson's an interesting name. It totally makes sense where he's a Jersey guy. It's kind of the exact opposite of Kevin Shattenkirk. He's actually from New Jersey. It makes sense. The only issue, I guess, is that you have Santini, Severson, and Vatanen, who all play the right side. And I'm not sure any of them have ever had willingness to play the left. Maybe you just do it and you say, that's what you have to do. But unfortunately, with Carlson there, it'd be 4 guys for the right. Maybe they end up trading one of them and it makes it a lot easier. Maybe Santini goes in a deal for something else. I don't know. But I would love the idea of bringing in John Carlson. I think he's still got a couple years left. I wouldn't give him 6 years. Maybe if you can give him, 4, give him, 7 for 4 and call it a day. I think that's a smart move. He's someone who can certainly shore up their back end. He can shoot the puck a little bit too. He's a guy who can be your second guy in a power play and you don't hate it. It'd be worth it, I think. He's someone who, unfortunately, it still might be a little bit of the same case where if you bring him in and he's sort of on an island by himself, though, they have to find a guy to play on the left who can actually, hold their head above water. John Moore is a nice player. He's not a top 4 player. Andy Green's a nice player. He's getting too old. Unfortunately, until they can find a guy to play on the left, I don't think you're going to get a lot out of those guys that are playing on the right because they don't have a partner that can complement them well enough.
Yeah, and we just we got to solve these defensive problems. So, Dave, thanks for coming on tonight, and thanks for the insight. And here's hoping the Devils figure out the defense. That's for sure.
Hey, Dave, before you go, I'm reading the @Devils Insiders Twitter account. This is about an hour ago. It says Sammy Vatanen should have to take an Uber back to New Jersey. Really funny. I like that one.
That was
how much would that cost?
That's a great question. I'm going to actually put it in my phone now and see exactly what the average it would cost. Sure, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, but you know what? On a night like that, with how many goals? You deserve it, right?
Oh my gosh, that was ugly. Yep. Like I said, here's hoping the Devils figure out these defensive issues because it's just bad.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for calling in. Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
That was Dave Turner at Devils Insiders. He's the host of Devils Daily. We'd like to thank him for coming on to the program. Guys, I don't think I screwed that one up, did I?
No, great.
No.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, my screen froze, and I'm like, wow. When I'm having technical difficulties, I can actually produce a show.
Because your attention's not divided, but between multiple things.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But it's funny because I was just gonna say it's funny because I'm sitting here thinking about just tonight's game, and I'm just like, I'm thankful that I have a delayed opening tomorrow because I need that like extra 15 minutes to sleep this one off. Like I'm so pissed off right now. I'm drinking water tonight because I'm that upset.
No, I completely agree. It's just, and I'm still thinking of all this from being a player, and just those defensive mistakes are so ugly. Like those they're inexcusable. They're basic hockey mistakes. Just there's it's so basic. And those are the things that these guys as professionals should not do. Yet here on a 2-on-1, you take the shooter. That's not what you do on a 2-on-1. Every single time the defenseman takes the pass, the goalie takes the shooter. That isn't what happened tonight. And then again, I said it before. I'm repeating myself. I'm whatever. That pass from Andy Green, you don't, as a defenseman in your defensive zone, even as a forward in your defensive zone, don't backhand blind pass at all, especially to the slot. You serve it up to them. There's no in between the shooter and Snyder. Forget it. It's bad.
Dave brought up a really solid point of saying all our scoring is coming from Brian Boyle, who's been amazing.
The best pickup of the summer, by the way. The best pickup of the summer is Brian Boyle.
Agreed. I mean, there's been, let's see, Gibbons has kind of dried up a little bit, but at the same time, even though he's dried up a little bit, his play and Coleman's play, especially on the PK, have been huge, and they've been playing, so their game, they're not scoring as much as we'd like to, but guess what? Those guys are fourth liners. They're not expected to score, as many goals as Gibbons has scored at this point. So if they dry up a little bit, it's fine as long as they keep playing the way they're playing. Right now, like I see a big hole that the Palmieri, Zajac, and Johansson line, there doesn't seem to be something clicking in that line. And I don't know if it's maybe you take one guy, because when Palmieri was on the top line, he's playing great. When Johansson was playing with Nico, you could see there was a chemistry starting to form there too. Maybe there's certain things that they need to readjust. It's like you don't want to break up that top line because they're playing so well, but you have to start to distribute that goal scoring in other places. Otherwise, it's going to become, hey, let's go out there, shut down their first line, and then keep Brian Boyle in check, and we'll shut him out every single game. Because right now, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I know, and it's Dave also made a point that this is a rebuilding year, and the Devils were absolutely punching above their weight for the first part of this season. So we all got really excited about it. And how can we not get excited with as bad as they've been for the last couple seasons? To come out hot and to be, fighting for first, not just in the division, but the conference, like consistently since the beginning of the season. And here we are, January, still fighting for it. After what we've dealt with the last, since 2012, we all definitely got excited. So we do have to remember that, we were not expected to be anywhere near what we are right now.
Exactly. And this isn't bitching and complaining. Like, this isn't us like sitting around bitching and complaining about 4-game stretch that they've, not looked great. This is, for me, at least, this is frustration. Like, watching these games, we invest a lot into it as fans, but watching these games, the two that they got stolen away from them, it pushes you as a fan, because the NHL sits here and they talk about how they want to add more scoring, they want to add more speed to the game, they want to do this, this, and this. And then they introduce something that's so asinine that slows down the game that you want to call a coach's challenge on. Oh, it's like I could go off on a 20-minute rant about this because it pisses me off so much. This isn't bitching and complaining. This is like that, just pure frustration of bonehead plays compiled with bonehead officiating.
It's definitely bonehead plays. It's bonehead plays because it's No, it's definitely frustration about bonehead plays because they're basic hockey plays that they're not making. That's where the frustration occurs. For anyone who's played the game at any level knows that some of the mistakes that the Devils are making are basic. They're basic. That's all that it comes down to.
You got to think that Andy Green is kicking himself, and you feel for the guy. Like, I love Andy Green. I don't want anybody to get it wrong. Like, I don't hate on anybody on our team. Like, I can't stand when people hate on their own team. It doesn't make any sense to me. I've said that before. it's just frustrating because like a play like a play like that is just it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I coach roller hockey and I tell these kids that I coach, never blind pass, never back pass, especially when you're deep in your own zone. Like never throw it into the middle. Like, are you kidding me? All right. I'm glad it's like towards the end of the night. Now I'm gonna lay in bed. My wife is not feeling well. She's gonna be laying next to me. I'm gonna be staring at the ceiling, just cursing under my breath for the next hour until I fall asleep.
I want to read up a comment. Melissa Dawn, her opinion is that notice how Henrique left and we fell apart. Not that he was amazing, but he kept the team together in the locker room, changed the dynamics completely. What do you guys think about that?
I disagree. We went on a 5-game winning streak after he left.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, he was definitely someone that was worth having in the locker room, but I don't know. I'm torn about that one because he definitely was. He was a veteran presence on this team. He was someone who has been here for a while. Has one of the arguably biggest Devils moments in all of history. Mm-hmm. So you can't take that away from him.
Meant a lot to the fans too, and even Taylor Hall did say, he was a little dejected and was like, it just shows you once again that it's a business. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
there is something to it.
Yeah, no, and that's and I think we talked about it prior to that trade was like, if you make a trade, what does that do for the locker room? Maybe it was more of a, not so much a short term, but a long term thing. I don't know. They got to get something together. Something's not going right, and they have to get it together.
Agreed.
Is this another collapse, guys? Is this the beginning of another collapse?
No, and you can't put that vibe out there. You can't put that bad juju on the team. Listen, I'm a very superstitious person. I don't know about you guys.
I know.
I'm a very superstitious
No,
person.
I'm a goalie. Of course I'm superstitious. Come on. I put my pads on from left to right every single time. I'm as superstitious as they come. Yeah, no, I agree. You don't throw that out there.
Yeah,
I'm superstitious, but I'm noticing a pattern with John Hines. It's almost like he loses the team by this time of the year. Yeah, the same thing happened last year.
I don't know. I kind of disagree. Last year was a completely different circumstance. Look at what they were playing with last year. I mean, it's different. It's a different team. It's a revitalized team. It's a different dynamic. Last year it was like you shut down Paul Murray and Hall line and you're good. And this year now it's starting to whatever. You just can't put those bad vibes out, man.
No, I agree with that, but it's also different because we're punching above our weight this year. We're well far and above what we were last year and what we should be right now. And truth be told.
Now, so I know this is a crazy question. Let's say you're the coach, right? Would you sit your captain? Would you sit your captain the next game? And I wonder, I was curious to see because, like I said, I was either listening or watching the game, so it's bouncing back and forth. I was, interested to see if Hines actually sat Andy Green after that play. He's had this year. He's shown that he has had a pair of stones where he'll set you down if you make a dumb play. Did he sit the captain down or did he let him play out that string?
I know. I believe you put him right back out there after that for that next shift. And that it really. It's a matter of your coaching philosophy. Do you automatically say, hey, you're benched for doing that, for doing that? Or do you say, listen, go back out there and make it right now? But do you, after this, after this game, do you maybe sit him the next game? Maybe sit him against the Islanders.
I don't know. Bring
be
Severson
like,
back
hey.
in.
Yeah, they got to do something. Hey, at this point, it's anybody's guess because this defense just looks so bad.
Send him to Binghamton. Teach him a lesson.
Yeah, that's the city you don't want to get stuck in. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Be like,
No
hey,
thing.
if you don't perform, you're gone.
He get banished. He get banished to the black hole.
Yeah, you're banished to Binghamton.
Hey, I got a T-shirt idea, Shorts Guy. I just thought
What's
of it
that,
during the
Sammy?
show. I'm wearing the Happy Wife, Happy Life shirt
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
You should make me a T-shirt that says Happy Devil's Thursday, which is really our new time slot every
Well,
Thursday.
happy Devil's
And
Friday right now.
Yeah,
right.
Happy Devil's Friday.
No, it's almost Happy Devil's Friday.
Yeah, it's-
But
yeah, it's-
Sam, if I make you this shirt, is this gonna help you remember what your intro is gonna be?
yeah. You should also. Is it
going to be your
print out a-
visual aid? It'll be your visual aid to not screw up the intro. Happy and
Yeah.
Devils
For
Thursday.
you guys are horrible. Absolutely
Yeah.
horrible.
But we love you. That's why.
Yeah, we
It's
love you,
all
Sam.
love. It's all love.
Well, we want to thank Dave Turner for coming on for 15 minutes on the show today. Want to thank all the Devils viewers, listeners, the comments. This is the most commented podcast of all Devils podcasts. Right, guys?
Hey, I'll take that. The most commented
100%.
podcast. I'll take it.
Yeah. So we'll be back next Thursday. I don't know what time. Is there a game that night? I'm sure there is. But we'll be right after the
believe
game.
there is a
If there's-
game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me look right now. I will look right now so we can inform our listeners. I know we discussed this. Let's see. Yes, we're home next week at 7 against Washington.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
somewhere around
We
10
could be-
probably.
Washington.
We could be on top of
So-
the division.
So
Who
freaking
knows?
pumped for Washington.
Man, that would be nice.
It would
Well-
be sweet to
Oh
come
wait,
back.
no, I'm sorry. I can't. No, stop. I can't read a schedule. And I don't know what day it is anymore. We have no game next Thursday. I'm looking 2
Oh, we
weeks
don't?
ahead. No,
That's all right.
I'm looking 2
I
weeks
prefer
ahead.
no game to
That's
play
right, it's-
Washington again.
I
Well,
can't
yeah,
produce
well,
a
hey.
show.
Yeah, I know. I
produce
can't read a
show,
calendar.
but- Yep.
I turn my mic
you know
off.
what? The best part about next week between Monday and Friday is we cannot lose because we have no game.
Yeah, but that week always it's gonna feel like forever. Like remember the last time they went a week earlier in the year? They did a week where they didn't play, and it felt like absolutely forever. So.
But at this point, with our defense, I'd rather take a week with nothing, and we cannot lose. We cannot lose next Monday through Friday.
Yeah, true.
All right, guys. Well, punching out.
Let's end this disaster. Let's end this disaster.
Till next time, let's go, Devils.